Have you been trying all the things to manage your high functioning anxiety and nothing seems to work? Maybe you have tried journaling, meditation, exercise, and practicing more self care, and they may help in the short term, but your anxiety, self doubt, and tendencies to overcommit just keep on happening over and over again. You're not alone. This is the cycle that used to happen for me and so many of my clients and students. The problem is that you're not getting to the root of your high functioning anxiety so that you can heal it from within. In this episode, I'll share exactly what I mean by that and how you can begin getting to the root of your high functioning anxiety. This is episode number 116, Getting to the Root of Your High Functioning Anxiety. Welcome to Calmly Coping. My name is Tati Garcia, and I'm a licensed therapist and coach specializing in high functioning anxiety. I help high achievers let go of anxiety, self-doubt, and overwhelm so they can finally stop overthinking everything and feel calm, balanced, and confident from within. Thank you so much for tuning in. So first, let's talk about what high functioning anxiety is. So on the outside, you appear hardworking, detail-oriented, high-achieving, ambitious, perfectionistic, well-prepared, organized. You appear calm to others, and you do well under pressure. You're probably successful and high achieving, and you have high standards and exude an image of success to others. While on the inside, you're struggling with overthinking, overwhelm, feelings of burnout, difficulty saying no, always having to be busy, and difficulty relaxing, having unrealistic expectations for yourself, people-pleasing, fear of failure, and self-doubt. So what happens when you focus on just treating the symptoms? When you try to stop overthinking by constantly keeping yourself busy with TV and social media, or you try to numb your feelings with alcohol and other substances, or you avoid the things that cause you increased anxiety by overworking, you're only addressing the surface level signs and symptoms, and the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that are getting you there in the first place are just going to keep on coming back. So that's why it's so important to address the root causes so you can really heal from within. And so it's kind of similar to how if you're treating an illness by just focusing on treating the symptoms, sometimes that's the only option. But if you're able to address the root cause, that's going to give you a better chance to heal what you're struggling with and have long-term sustainable health, depending on like what the struggle is or what the issue is. And it can be the same when it comes to your mental health. So it's not always possible to completely heal, quote unquote, and say, I'm never going to feel anxious again, or I'm never going to experience self-doubt, but it is possible to get to the point where it's no longer keeping you stuck and it's no longer holding you back and it's no longer getting you into this place of burnout and feeling terrible and always feeling stressed and anxious and worrying about things. So it's really about doing what you can to identify what is actually causing and triggering this, what is actually at the root of these struggles so that I can address those things and then prevent things from getting worse in the future. So if you're ready to begin the journey towards overcoming high functioning anxiety so that you can feel calmer from within, I want to share the sponsor for this episode, which is my free workshop, How to Overcome High Functioning Anxiety. In this live actionable workshop, you will learn simple actionable tips to help you take the first steps to start your journey to overcoming high functioning anxiety. Here's what you'll learn: the mistakes you're making that are keeping you stuck in anxiety, self-doubt, and overthinking, how to declutter your mind and increase focus so you can increase clarity and feel calmer from within, how to improve your work-life balance, and how to practice self-compassion so you can start feeling more confident. You can learn more by checking out the link in the description or by going to calmlycoping.com/workshop. So now what you've been waiting for, what's actually at the root of high functioning anxiety? So let's focus on this anxiety piece because the root of anxiety is fear. And fear is what's at the root of high functioning anxiety. So some examples of what these fears might be could be fear of failure or making mistakes. And this is a really common one. Could be fear of uncertainty or the unknown. So worrying about, well, I don't know what's going to happen. And so that creates more of a breeding ground for you to have these negative thoughts and to feel like you're gonna then assume the worst case scenario just so that you can be safe. Maybe it's fear of judgment from others and fear of negative things that other people might think or say about you. It could also be fear of unworthiness. So that fear of not being good enough or the fear that there's something wrong with you. Could also be fear of not being smart enough, competent enough, fill in the blank, whatever it might be for you. So it's going to be a different fear for each person, and you might even be able to relate to all of these fears. I find that many times most people, especially those that I work with high functioning anxiety, can identify with at least one, if not all, of these main core fears. And I like to call them root fears, really, because it's, the more specific fear of maybe I'm afraid that I'm going to bomb this presentation, but it can be broken down into that more general fear of failure or fear of judgment. So the thing with fear is that it leads to avoidance. So here are the things that people commonly avoid when they struggle with high functioning anxiety. So they might avoid negative thoughts and constant overthinking. You might avoid difficult emotions such as fear, anxiety, guilt, shame, nervousness, and annoyance. You might avoid wanting to disappoint other people or being viewed in a negative light by other people. And you might avoid any stress or negative outcomes and do whatever you can to avoid those types of situations, because then these situations bring up more negative thoughts. So avoidance can look like and show up in different ways, like overworking, always being busy, numbing yourself with substances, procrastination because you're avoiding how you're going to feel when you're doing the thing, or avoiding failure because you're in a place of perfectionism. So you want to do the best, and so it's hard to get started on perfection, so you procrastinate. You might avoid by people pleasing because you're avoiding disappointing others, or by having thoughts of self-doubt. And you might also avoid by trying to do too much at once because you're overloading yourself and you're distracting yourself with focusing on these things rather than thinking about this fear or feeling this fear. So a lot of times it is avoidance of those feelings or emotions, which I just mentioned. So if you're watching the video, I'm going to have a graphic here of what that high functioning anxiety cycle looks like. But to describe it for you, it's basically you have your fear and anxiety, then results in those avoidant behaviors that I just described, which then result in negative thoughts. So because you're avoiding and overworking, you might think, oh, I always need to stay busy, or you might be judging yourself, or you might have other negative thoughts. Well, if I don't stay busy, then something bad is going to happen, and then that creates more fear and anxiety, and the cycle just continues. So the more that you avoid, the bigger your fears become, and the more these difficult emotions are going to build up under the surface, and it's going to keep you stuck in this cycle. So when you can recognize that fear and avoidance are at the root of your high functioning anxiety, and they're at the root of your behaviors and your thoughts, then you can take simple steps to start acknowledging and facing your fears to feel more calm, balanced, and confident in your life. So that's why it's so important to practice awareness and also recognizing and challenging your fears, negative thoughts, and limiting beliefs. And also to stop adding to the cycle by continuing to be hard on yourself and have more negative thoughts that are just building upon that. So remember, this is a process and it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Have patience and compassion towards yourself and take things one step at a time. I think that sometimes just understanding this root can really help. And one way that you can get started on this is journaling on, what are your fears? Can you identify which root fears that you can identify with personally and the ones that come up for you? So to repeat those root fears, they're the fear of failure or mistakes, the fear of uncertainty or the unknown, the fear of judgment, the fear of unworthiness, or the fear of not being blank enough. When you can identify in a specific situation, what's the fear for you? What might you be avoiding? What's going on here? What's under the surface? That can help you to get to the root, so then you can address that, acknowledge that, face that, and stop avoiding what's just kind of exacerbating that cycle. And if you're looking for more support with this, I have tons of resources to help you to do so. If you want to dive in and work with me so that I can guide you in doing this, I have a monthly membership community, the Calm and Ambitious community, where we are always accepting new members, and I guide you in just this. There's an entire back catalog of trainings that are going to help you to take these steps, along with a supportive community to guide you along the way. You can also join my A to Z program to overcome high functioning anxiety, calm, balanced, and confident. So I have a link for that below. If you're listening to this before September 8th, 2022, then there's still an opportunity to join. If it is after that point, then this is a secret offer, so you can actually reach out to me or click on the link to see if you're still able to get access. You can DM me the word freedom on Instagram at TatianaGLPC if you want to learn more about it. And you can also learn about working with me via one-to-one coaching, so I can support you with this process. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're watching on YouTube, you can share with me in the comments, or you can share in our free Facebook community for high achievers with high functioning anxiety, Calmly Coping, at calmlycoping.com/group, and let us know, what do you think the root of your high functioning anxiety is? While you wait for next week's episode, I have other episodes about decreasing anxiety, adopting a healthy mindset, and managing your time and energy. So be sure to check out these episodes here. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and until next time, be calm.